Okay, that's perfect. Before you just ask the question, if you can just go back a step. And then if you go and select all, where you have all and you have 8 in brackets. So a question for everyone here. You can see what our developer has been doing here. Some good work, right? Just a question for all. What is it which is good that our developer has been doing here? There's something good the developer has been doing here. Can anyone point what good the developer has been doing here?
Created a new lead.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. Anyone else?
And created tables.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Anyone? From what you can see on the screen here.
A new form was created, a new form.
Okay, so just to narrow it down, our developers created new things, tables, forms, fields. Great. But what is it on this screen here, which you can look at and say, okay, that's really good. I'm not going to ask for anything bad. I just want anything good on here.
Working in Power Apps.
Okay. Anyone else? So in here, on the call, we have Mary Ade and Mary A. Mary Ade and Mary A. I'm assuming you're two different people, right?
Same person, sorry.
Same person, right?
Yes.
Okay. So from those of you on the Zoom call, what differentiates Mary A and the other Mary? How do we know these are two different Marys? It's not one Mary if you're looking at it, just looking at it. So take it in this context, Mary is two different people. How do we know, or what's the distinction here?
The initials after the Mary, the A and the Mary order.
Yeah, okay, fantastic stuff. That's a very good find. So from now, going to our blue sky lead, what our developer is building here for us, what is it they've done well?
I think the developer has been able to create an environment that has to do with just the lead.
Okay, that's fine. So just another question here, just to kind of give you the idea of exactly where I'm going with this. If you talk, for example, about a religion, for example, those of you who are Christians, right? One of those days, whether it's a Thursday, Sunday, whatever day you go to church or to your congregation, wherever place you go to worship, whether you read the Bible, the Quran, whichever thing you read. So in this example, you are reading the Bible, and the person who's preaching here has now said, we are just going to read scriptures. Can you open your scriptures? Do you know what scripture you're going to have to open, or you don't know? In this case, can someone tell me, would you know what scripture to open if they just say, oh, we're going to read the scripture?
No.
No? Okay,
No.
Fantastic. So normally they'll say, we're going to open a scripture either from Jeremiah 10, verse 23, or whatever scripture it is, right? So here, what's important for all of you, which our developers done here, we can all see there is something which says Omega Lead registration form, Omega C survey form. Imagine if our developer had named these things Omega. How do you know what the use case is for? So the good thing here, the developer got the naming convention right. It is very, very important, whatever role you go into, to make sure naming conventions are right. It doesn't matter wherever you are, BA, QA, developer, the naming convention needs to be right. So that's one thing everyone needs to understand. If you go into somewhere and you see the display name, everything is saying lead, that's wrong. It should not be like that. So we go back to our developer. You had a question, please go ahead.
Okay, yes, my question is basically, okay, let me just start with Blue Sky. For example, last week we talked about survey, and I just created this survey, and this survey is responsive. It's coming up. Sorry. So if I submit, so because I did all this thing, so because peradventure we want to now put this thing on the website, is it possible
to put this canvas up on the website?
Yes.
So if you want to put it on a website,
Yeah.
it's a different component you need. So you need to use
Okay.
something called Microsoft Forms.
Oh, hold on, Alex. I thought there would be like a snippet, right, that you can use to use this purpose, right?
So Canvas apps, they're mainly designed for internal use. If you need to put it on a website, you need to develop something called a Microsoft portal or a Power Page.
Okay.
So with this here, it's mainly designed for internal use. Mainly reason being is there's a licensing implication to it. So
because
if you,
I thought the last time you showed us a place that you can use to kind of share it, and there's kind of like, you know, code snippets that you can get.
so if you're sharing, for example, if you click on the three dots there for me, please, next to Blue Sky survey form. Those three dots there, yeah, yes, please. And then if you select share, is this the point you mean here?
It's not this one. I think there's one that you showed to us that, okay, you share, but you can actually get an embedded code, right? Embed code.
Embed code.
Yeah.
That would be, if you're doing it for external for a website, it's definitely Microsoft Forms, or you can use marketing web forms.
Okay.
But with Canvas apps, definitely no, you cannot put it on a website.
Okay.
So if you happen to use Power Pages as well, it's also dependent on how many people use the page. So the cost of people clicking on the page then comes to the organization. But what that means is people don't have access to your organizational data. That's why they have that extra component to it. So it's very complex from a licensing point of view, but that's the main reason why they don't allow a Canvas app or a model-driven app to have external access. So the communication link is that Power Page they introduce. You can use forms to get external to inside that allows you to do it. But with Canvas apps and model-driven apps, they limit you from doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what I wanted to ask. So I'm going to remove it because it's not part of okay.
Yeah. So if you're gonna use surveys, what you might need to look at is something called customer voice. So customer voice is an additional add-on, which is outside the sales module. So it's an additional add-on where you can send your surveys out. So the survey, I think, Deji, that's what you mean. The person will click on the link.
Exactly. It just
it opens up the page.
Yeah. I'm not sure it was you or Dan that talked about customer voice. Yeah, that was exactly.
I think that was done. Yeah, apologies. I think that was done. But with customer voice here, you basically send them the link and then it comes in.
Exactly. I think,
Okay.
yeah. So,
But with this Canvas app, for example, if you have it here, it's more or less you're trying to get someone access directly to Dynamics when they don't have a license. That's why it doesn't work like that.
Okay, so with customer voice, right, we get this embed code, right?
Yep.
Which RDBC can get. Then we now put embed code in on the website, right? Then it displays that form, right? And
Yep.
then the user will see the front end, fill the form, and click on submit, and the data will be stored in Dynamics, right?
The data will be stored in Dynamics. There's a table for surveys in Dynamics.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So one thing to consider with that approach, you get 2,000 survey responses by default. Any additional one outside 2,000, you need to purchase them.
Okay, I will come to you to pay. That's not it.
Okay. Okay. So, one thing as well, our developer here was showing us this customer survey form. Does anyone remember what that survey form was built on? The developer, please do not tell us. I'm sure you know because you developed it. Did anyone observe where that survey was built on?
Canvas.
Okay, fantastic. So it was built on a Canvas app. So that's something. And at the same time, the good practice here, what the developer did, they went to remove it from their solution. So that means they continue to work with what they have here. So our developer here, do you have any more questions for us or even everyone else? Does anyone has any questions from what our developer is doing here? So now we have our developer created 5 tables and there is 2 applications, 2 Canvas app. So can you please expand where it says tables and there's 5 in brackets on your left-hand side for me, please? So at this point here, if you select Omega Lead, please, and then we need to open forms. And now let's open the main form, please. Yep, you can do that, or you can just double click onto it to just open it.
Okay.
Great. So now we're going to have our form here to load. Okay. So what you see here on the lead form, are these the only fields we have or columns we have on this form? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. No, I'm just making sure I'm not making an assumption that that's the only ones we have.
Yes, that's what we created.
Okay, perfect. So what we're seeing here is a lead form. A lead form is basically a form. It can be an opportunity form. It can be a contact form. It can be an account form. Okay, it can be a case form. So in here, if you can kindly select where it says form settings just above, please. So basically with the form setting here, can you see what it has here? By default, it's set to be available to everybody. So as part of your requirements, going forward, your product owner might say, I just want this form to be visible to these specific people. People with system admin, people with a team leader role, people with any predefined role. So if you select that, perfect. So now what you see, you got loads of rows here. You basically then select which one you want to be available. Okay, are we clear on here? So if you remember, there's a time we're looking at forms. I think it was Dan who was showing you on a training session. There were a long list of forms. And we're thinking, okay, why is it just available for everybody? So what you can do at this point here, you basically select which one, but we're not going to select at this point here. But if you see where it says form settings on the left-hand side, there's somewhere it says form order. Yeah. So at this point here, you basically select what is the first form you're gonna see. So if you see, you got that drop down there, right?
Yeah.
You can basically then change to say, okay, I don't want the main form to be the one visible first. I want this form to be available first. Are we clear with that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So at this point here, you can cancel. Yep, and you can select save. So what you can see on our form here, we have two attributes, two columns, a name and an owner. So can you now go just above? Can you see where it says business rules? If you can click on that for me, please.
I'll click on business. Is it the new one? The new business one?
Yeah, if you just wait here. Apart from our developer, anyone else? Can anyone remember what we said business rules are? What do they do? Anyone remember? Business rules, not business process, business rules. Okay, so we're gonna open it, and by working with it, you understand the definition of it. So our developer kindly, BC, please kindly open new business rule at this point. So we're gonna have a different interface. So if you just log in, please. Yeah, so we are now at this point here. So if you can kindly select new condition. Yeah, if you just click on there for me. Great. So in here, can you see you have a display name which says new condition? Can we give it a meaningful name? And I know you have really good naming conventions, so let's give it a name which associates it, so we know it's a business rule for the Omega lead form.
Okay, wait, same Omega, a name.
Yeah, so you can basically put Omega,
okay.
Omega lead, Omega main form business rule. You okay?
Yeah, we can use it.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Tosin.
Hello, Alex. Yeah. Basically, is it possible we keep to lead since we already know that we are the only one working on it?
That's okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm asking Alex if that's possible.
To just stick to lead.
Stick to lead because we already know that we as Omega, we are the one dealing on leads.
Okay. So do you mean in that context? Do you mean just keeping the naming convention? Just say Omega lead. Is that what you mean?
No, like lead main form business rules.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Great. So at this point, the business rule is telling you you are on the Omega lead table. So if you remember in the early days, I did mention to you tables, you still see things called entities. Their old name was entities. So in here, the source is entities, and we need to target a field. So can you see where it says field?
Yeah.
And if you just click on that drop down, and the field we're looking for here is called name. And then the operator we're looking at here contains data. And then select apply, please.
Okay, just one question, Alex. So does it mean this operator has to be contain data, or we can choose anyone provided we can work with it?
It can be anything you want to, depending on your requirement. So you can even say it needs to be equal to this specific value, or you can even say it begins with the letter A, B, C, or whatever it is. Or it can be an operator saying, if the field doesn't have data, let's do something.
Okay.
So this is just more or less for a demonstration purposes, so you understand, and at the same time, our product owner might see some use with this, and then they'll say to you, we're gonna do some increment on our backlog. This is what we also need. So if we select apply at this point, so you selected apply already, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So can you see on the left-hand side, you have the option which says add.
Yeah.
If you select add for me, please. So in here, you have different actions. We have put a condition already. So we are now saying if this does not contain data, or if this contains data, or if this has XYZ value, we want this to happen. So at this point here, can you see the one at the very bottom? We're only using this as an example, add set visibility. So what we are now saying here, if that name, column, or field has data, we want something to happen. So if you can select set visibility, and then now can you see the plus on the right-hand side of your condition? So in purple, so in where you were just a few moments ago.
Okay.
Yep. If you go to the right-hand side a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. If you click on there.
Oh, okay. I was looking for it. Where is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why it comes here. So at this point here, we need to give our action a name as well. So we can just give it Omega lead action, or we can just say lead form action. So these display names are very, very important in the event you go to a project and they say to you, you are our developer, or you are our BA, you are our QA, you are our Scrum Master. Can you and your team help us produce a data dictionary of the configuration of our system? So if you then have these things which do not mean anything, you then have a bit of a problem, because one, you're gonna try to think, okay, what was it the developer put there? Because it might not be you who done this, it might be someone else. So in here, can you see under visibility, the value is blank? Can you just see it? If you just, select that. And then in here, we're going to select owner. Can anyone guess why we're selecting owner at this point?
Creator needs to be able to.
Is it for access restriction?
Okay. Okay, not quite. Anyone else? Did anyone else see the lead form our developer is built, right?
The lead form was showing owner and just two things there, owner and one other thing. So that's why I put it owner there.
Amazing stuff. Amazing. So we can only put things we have on our form. If it's not on our form, it's not going to work. So at this point here, what we are now saying in our condition, the name contains data. Now you can say the owner has to be hidden. So if you select no, because the visibility at the moment, it says yes, which means it will be available. Now select no. And now select apply. At this point, can you now select save on the top right-hand side? And then if you have any errors with your business rule, it will tell you at this point. And at the same time, can you select validate? So it's on the right-hand side again. Can you see where it says validate?
I'm trying to look at it.
Okay.
Right-hand side.
So you know where you clicked on save,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Just next to it. Perfect. So you can also do a validation. And can you see we have an answer already?
Yeah.
So if you have any issues, it will tell you the issue here. So that's why the importance of keeping your eyes open to the screen so you know exactly what your issues are. So can you see where you clicked on save and validate? If you go across, can you see where it says entity?
Yes.
So if you click on there for me, please. So in here, we are running this business rule in the context of the table. So you can have these fields being used on different forms on the table, so it will target them. If you want it to be specific to a form, you can either say all forms or the information form only. So you can basically define
Can I ask
this.
a question, please?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because on the form is mandatory for name and the owner, but what you just created here, you've made the owner hidden field. Why?
Because the owner field is populated by default.
Okay, and it will still be mandatory.
It will still be mandatory, but it's being populated by default. So again, the use case might be completely different, whereby the field is not mandatory. If you populate the data contains data, can you show a field than actually hide it? So the field can be by default hidden. Then when you populate the data, the moment you populate it, the business rule triggers, and then it shows the other field you need. So in this case here, the field is hidden because we know there's no data which is going in there. By default, it will have the name of the person logged in into that field.
So if you have more fields, the rest will be hidden as well until we put something in the first one that will trigger the second one.
If you have more fields, only the one you target will be hidden. It's not all of them, only the ones you have selected. So if you, our developer, can you kindly select where it says set visibility on your business rule, please? Yep, thank you. So in here, the only field which will be hidden is the owner field. All the other fields will be visible. If you need to have more fields hidden, you can then add a branch condition. So you can add a branch condition underneath our condition there, or you can add another set visibility action next to our action, what we can see on the business rule, where the case of our developer is here. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Alex, I want to quickly ask something. Then on this business rule test view, is it because we put in name contains data? That was why it gave us this, because I think this is like a formula function that is being displayed here. Is it when we did everything that it came up, or it was there before? Because I can't even remember anymore. This particular section,
yep.
this said, yeah.
That's a very good observation. So whatever we're putting in our business rule, it puts the formula here of exactly what we're expecting our business rule to do. So in here, our developer, if you can kindly click where it says condition, please. In our business rule. So if you just click, yep. So at this point here, the first line of the business rule is where it says if name contains data. That's what we have on our business rule here. And then the action is the next part where it says set visibility. So we are saying if this condition is met, then this is happening. So at this point here, this is the text you just need to put into your documentation. This is what's happening in this business rule. You can basically just lift and shift it into a document. So that's a very good observation. So we have our business rule here. Is everyone happy with our business rule here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. So what do we need to do to get our business rule to fire? What is it do we need to do here? Again, the clue here is look on your screen.
Maybe
Develop. Go ahead.
To activate.
Activate it, right? Do we all agree? Do we all agree? Any objections? Any questions on why our colleagues are saying we need to activate it for this to work? Okay, so those who said activate, yes, you're 100% right. We need to activate our business rule here. So our developer was kindly sharing. Can you kindly select activate for us, please?
Hello, Alex. Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
Yeah, coming from the QA perspective, this business rule that has been applied now and has been activated, there is one particular one that has been hidden. That's the owner. The one we saw that has been made hidden by the developer. What if, as the QA perspective, I want to do a testing, I want to do the integration testing. Probably there are other ones that has been created before this one. When I'm doing my integration testing, will I be able to access this one that has been hidden?
Yep. So basically, this is just being hidden on the interface. As we go on the sessions, on our next session, I will show you from a QA point of view how you can actually unhide it if you're doing your testing, and you can basically look at it. But this is from a perspective of yourself as a QA, dev, business analyst, Scrum Master, but it's not for business people to use. So there is something here which actually won't wait for next session. I'll show you today.
All right, thank you.
So in here, if you select activate for me, please. Okay, perfect. And now, if you just refresh your page, I think it's loading anyway. I can see it at the bottom of your screen. It's loading something. It will change the status from activate. So while this is waiting, can you also go to the front end? So yep, you can see now our business rule is alive.
Activated. Okay.
Yeah. So now can we log in to the front end? So basically, if you can go to D365 training 23.crm11.dynamics.com. So if you just put it in your URL, yep, you can just pick it up from. So you see the tab which says a business rule.
Yeah.
You can just copy it from there. So just copy from that point.com. Yep, that's it. So there's two scenarios here. So we've covered one scenario. There's one more scenario we need to cover. So if you select where it says customer service admin for me, please. And now go into your application there. Yep. And once you're in your application, if you can kindly go to your lead form, the one you created, please. And then once the ribbon loads, can you select new? So our developer, the form they built only had 2 values, and we have so many values here. Does anyone want to tell us why, apart from the developers working on it? Does anyone want to guess why we're seeing all these fields when our form only has 2?
By default?
Yep, that's in the very good line. That's correct. By default, we're seeing the main form. So does anyone want to tell us where we can change this form so we see the form our developers created? So if you see, can you see where it says new lead on the form on the left-hand side? So underneath, can you see you have lead and you got that one? Yeah, if you select that option for me.
Lead.
Yep, and you see, if you select lead, that's the one which is showing already.
Okay.
So what that means, our form is not in here. So the next question is, when was this form created?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yes, the
okay.
forms, yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you click where it says D365 custom, for me, please. So can you open the Sales Hub application, please?
Okay.
Yeah, that one there.
Okay.
And then once we're in the Sales Hub, you're on the lead form already, right?
Yes.
Can you check if your form is in here?
It's not here.
It's not here? Okay, that's fine.
Do
Do we remember publishing our changes, or we're just saving them?
We're saving them.
Okay, can we go and do a publish for me, please? So if you go to the Make Power Apps area.
Power Apps, okay.
And
oh, sorry.
That's fine. That's okay. It's still okay. That will take you there still.
Oh, Jesus. Let me use this one. Let me log off this one. So I should just go here.
So you know where you were showing me your table, your canvas
Yes,
app.
okay.
Yeah, if you
You
can
go
go to
back
the
there.
same area, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Why is it going here?
And if you go into your solutions, yep, and then yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So at this point here, if you go into the lead table, where you have your table, and the form is under lead, right? So let's go into lead. Yep. And then let's select forms. And then let's open our form once it opens here.
It's not opening.
It's supposed to be under Omega lead.
Oh,
It's
yes,
going to be under Omega lead, right?
Omega
Okay.
lead. Yes.
So yeah, let's open it there, please. And then if you just open it either by double clicking or selecting that and then edit. And then if you go on form settings, please.
Form settings, okay.
Yep. And then if you go on form order, please. And then on that drop down, you only have the main form, right? If you
Yeah.
click on that. Yep, okay, that's perfect. So now we're just making sure everything is set okay here. So now you can cancel this. So now, if you select back, so if you see under Power Apps on the top left-hand side, if you just click back on there, underneath here, that one, that's the correct one. And then select one more back. Yep, at this point now, if you select Blue Sky Lid table, and then now select Publish All Customizations.
Okay.
Yeah, they should be done in a minute or so.
Can I ask a question? Why is it loading? Is there any reason why it has to load for maybe 1 minute?
Yeah, so basically what it's doing here is publishing the changes. So we've introduced a new table, we've introduced a form, and we've introduced some new fields within that solution. So we're making them available now to the front end for someone to have a look at them. So it takes a process to write to the database in the background.
Does it depend on the type of load?
So given this environment is in a mode which is called sandbox, so it doesn't get a lot of resources from an infrastructure point of view or from computing point of view. So it's not as quick as you find it in a production environment.
Oh, okay.
So if you see now it's succeeded. So now we need to check to see if our changes are reflecting at the front. And yeah, if you can try there, I'm pretty sure it's not going to show just yet. I'm just having a look myself because I have access to what you're clicking on there. Just give me 1 second. I'm just having a look at something here.
Okay. Well, I think it's saying a new version of this app is available. Oh, okay, so.
Oh, that's just out of the box functionality. So it won't be that specific one we're working on. What I'm just doing here, I'm just validating that we haven't put our fields on the Canvas app.
For the sake of learning, because you said something about validating if you have not built your field on the canvas, for the sake of learning, should that be the first thing we need to check before we start doing the business rule?
If you're working in the solution and we're working with a module-driven app, the default standpoint there will be that our form is in the module-driven app. But I just noticed we have the Canvas app, so that's also a valid point. We can always check before we create our business rule. But either way, wherever your form is, whether it's a Canvas app or module-driven app, the business rule always fire anyway. So I think what we need to do here, like you mentioned, let's have a look at our Canvas app and just validate that that form is not there, but we can easily check in our solution and it will tell us where that table is.
Okay.
So if you open the table itself, the Omega lead table.
This is it.
Okay. So at the moment we're looking at columns. So if you click where it says Omega lead just above columns, just click where it says Omega lead on your left-hand side, please.
My left Omega lead. Okay. This.
Yeah. And then let's look in here on properties.
Properties.
Which is just above next to tools. So if you see where you have name, primary column, and you also have your description.
My face is, I'm seeing double now.
That's okay, don't worry. So where you are, yeah,
this is it.
Perfect.
I should click it.
Yes, please. So at this point here, we're just looking to validate if this form and our table is in a module-driven app or Canvas. So with module-driven apps, we have the concept of schemas. So what we are looking to do here is to look at our schema. I think it's a BLSYL, if I remember correctly. So if you select advanced options, and then, yeah, that's fine. So we can see our schema name here. That's perfectly fine. If you scroll further down.
Done.
If you scroll down, you have a scroll bar on your right-hand side here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yep. If you just scroll down for me, please. Can you see a scroll bar on your right-hand side?
Okay, yes, yes.
That one there, yes, please. Yep, perfect. So can anyone remember where the schema name comes from? So basically, the issue we're having here, it is actually a real work scenario issue you might have, whereby you have made your changes and the things are not showing on your front end. Anyone remember where we get the schema name from? So the schema name is the publisher. So when we create a publisher, that's where the name came from. So now, given we have looked and we are not getting those changes forward, the next thing is to do some troubleshooting to find out how we are going to resolve that. So now we know when we go to the front end, the first form which is showing is lead, sales insights, and sales trial. So if you could kindly close this now, and we're gonna go to our table. Yeah, so we're gonna go to forms. Just click on forms for me, please. So what we're looking to achieve with our troubleshooting here is to identify where lead, sales trial, sales insights, and sales trial are. So if you see where it says related, if you can click where it says related for me.
Coming.
So just on the right hand side where you were, just above where it says related.
I've seen related. Related. Oh, okay, sorry.
That's the one. Perfect. Okay, that's fine. There's no additional items there, which I was expecting. Can I kindly ask for request to control if it's okay from your side?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I've just sent a request to your side. Do I have control now? Yeah, I have control now. Thanks. So here, as part of our troubleshooting, we need to understand why this here is not showing. So when we look here, our form we're looking for, this is the name for it. So it's called information. So when we are doing this troubleshooting, we need to go and look at the name. So the name is called information. So that's where we need to track it. So if I go into the form itself and select advanced, and then look at solution layers. Okay, so the default publisher is this here. So we can see the default publisher, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And now the next thing is to go look at our relationships. So once we're in our relationships, we see some of the relationships we have, which are on this table, but our main concern at the moment is that specific form. So we need to go into this area here, and we're looking for, one second, hold on one second. So the table is called Omega lead. So we need to find this first. So we're going to find our table first. It's not in this up here. It will be in here. So what we are going to do now, we're going to do something called advanced find. Which is this one here. And then we should see our table in this list here. So these are some of the things you need to be aware of. If you need to validate something, you can easily come and search for it. If we cannot find it, we have an answer, which I'll show you the answer why we cannot find it, but it should appear in here. So while we're waiting for this to load here, is everyone clear? Can everyone see this here, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
You can see it, right? So
Yes.
I'm going to give you a heads up of where our issue is here. So we have our table, which is called omega lead, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this here, where we are clicking on, that's not omega lead. So we should have our own, which says omega lead, but at the moment it's not set to show on the sitemap. So this is the sitemap we are seeing here. It's not configured to show here. So that's why we are going to search for it, because once we search for it, the next plan of action is for us to make sure it appears in this list here. So this is taking a bit of time.
Dan, am I right?
Dan, you okay?
Yeah, is it Dan on or
Alex.
I can be done for the
Alex.
day. I can be done for the day.
Alex.
No, call me
Okay.
Dan, it's okay.
No, Alex.
Yeah, because you have the same voice. Yes, you have the same voice, so it's difficult
Go
to
for it, ma'am.
Yeah, is it possible to reduce the default content that we have on this Microsoft Dynamics so that I don't know, maybe that's the reason why it's loading for too long?
So yeah, that's a very, very good question. That's something our lovely developers can do. Yes, it's possible. We can just basically saying we just want to see 2 of these things or just 1 of them. So our developers can do that. So basically what they need to do in that context is to have a module driven app, and then they basically just add the components they need from that context. So while this is taking a bit of time, we're going to try and do it in a different way. Let's see if this helps us to get to it much quicker. So while we are in here, we need to open the legacy advanced find option and try and see if we can pick it up from there. So if I select advanced settings at this point here, hopefully one of these 2 things are load up much quicker, and we can show you where our issue is. So it's basically about, let's see, this one here, we don't need it. We need this one here and this one. So what we can do at that point while these 2 things are loading is to go in here, and then we select our table, and then we need to identify where this table shows. So to do, where is the option where it shows on the sitemap? There is an option we need to set. I haven't done it in this new interface. Now we have advanced find, yes or no? Yeah, that is still going. It's taking time. So this one here seems not to be responsive. Can I just check with the owner of the screen? Is this opening a pop-up on a different screen or nothing is actually happening?
Because what I'm looking at is even the URL, because from my hand, ours is 14. This dynamics, this particular one, the URL should be 14 dynamics. That is when we get into our own working space. So because we've done something on dynamics basically, and we've created some leads. I mean,
yeah. So did you create the leads using the Omega lead form, the one you created with the 2 fields?
It was Omega, yes. I think it was, yes. I use Omega list to create the form initially. But
so if you were creating leads,
yes,
we should see them here.
Because
so if you see here, this is the lead form out of the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's any leads on that table, they should appear here the way we are seeing them here.
Okay.
So this here is a different table to this. This here is a different table. That's a different table. That's a different table. So if we've been creating leads under here, we should see them here.
Okay, sorry, Alex. Can we, if you don't mind, can we just show how we created the one we're talking about that we have created? So it could guide us through, like, okay, that's not the way. Yeah, this is a better way to create it.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. That's not a problem.
We didn't do it the right way.
No. What you've done is 100% right. The only missing thing here from all the good work you did is you were not shown how to make it available here.
Oh.
That's all what's missing. Everything else you've done, the user should be able to see it here. But because we haven't shown you how to edit here, that's why you haven't done it.
Okay.
Is it possible to also touch on case? Because you've touched on all the row, but I'm still missing that part of case. And I've been checking online and I'm still struggling to put things together for case.
So when you mean case, do you mean the case table or what?
Because I'm the developer for case. And to be honest, I've been going online to put things together to see what I can do for case team. The only thing I'm seeing online is just the front end, how to build a case, how to answer customer. But it would be good if you touch on case as well as you are showing the lead. Yeah. What will you do if you're a developer for case, or is there anything like a developer for case?
So there are things for a developer for case. So what I would propose on tomorrow's session, if Dan says someone share your screen, if you can just put your hand up, then you can work through the way we are doing here. I think that way that would be much easier. Then you can kind of ask any questions you might have. So there's something which is very slow on my screen, on this screen here. So Deji, I'm just sending you an image. I can see exactly the form in itself. I'm just sending you an image. Once this loads, I'll also show everyone. But Deji, I'm just sending you this separately so you can see it.
Okay.
So this is not loading. We're gonna forget this for a minute. And then we reinitiate it. And this here seems to have just been stuck. So let's refresh the page.
Hello, Alice.
Hello.
Yeah, is it possible to show how a lead can be created and then also make it available on the map?
Yeah, so that's when you say the table being available on the map, right?
Keep looking the way we are doing now.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to achieve now. But I think this page here has died on me. It's not really responsive anymore. Let me give me 1 second. Let me do something different. I'll show you guys. I'm gonna log in from a different system so I can just show you exactly what I'm doing on the same system. So yeah, so yeah. Zoom. Okay, great. I'm in. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I need Deji, if you don't mind giving me access to share as Alex Chandiwana, not Alexi, please.
Yeah, you can share.
Thank you.
I think, okay, I'll stop this one, then you can share.
Yep, so I'm basically sharing from a different machine.
Yeah, I think you can, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So reason I went to share on a different machine is because we are being held up in connecting on that machine. So I just thought it's easier if I just share it and just show you guys. So you can see the advanced find window open on my screen here, right? I'm sharing from a different machine. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the next thing I think which will make it easier for me is if I request control to that machine and just show you from one machine here. Perfect. Okay, great. So what you have here is the option for advanced find. So in here, we can go through our list, and I've managed to identify Omega leads here, right?
Okay, good. Okay.
And I'm gonna go and do results.
Okay.
So in here, is doing all this searching. I can assure you it's gonna come back with 0 because there's nothing on that table. Right, so it's a bit lagging because it's coming from a different machine, but now this is our form we're looking for. So let's open it here. So you can see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is our form we've been looking for. So the next thing to do is to make sure it's available on the sitemap. So in here, once it decides to open, contacts, accounts, where is our lead table in here? Leads. So if you see now, if I go and select new, can anyone tell me what's happened here? So if you see at this point, I've gone to select new.
Okay.
You can see this, right? Can you all see what's happened here?
Yeah, he's trying to create a quick lead.
Okay, perfect. So basically what's happening here, let me just replay it to you again. So let me close this here. And I'm going to select a new lead. So a new Omega lead, right? So once this open here, there is something which is very important for you to keep in mind here. Can anyone think of exactly what's happening here? So your focus should be on the ribbon here. So your focus should be in this area here. Can anyone think what is it we need to be looking at if we are thinking about our Omega lead form here?
You're using sales track.
Okay, fantastic. Does everyone else agree to that, or do we have any disagreement?
I agree.
Okay,
Agree.
perfect.
Using the trial version.
Thank you very much. So I think our colleague did ask earlier to say how do we know where this is sitting, the Canvas app, the model-driven app, right? So now we know this is where it's sitting. So if you click onto here, you will see other applications in here. So if you see, we were going in here. At one point, we also went in here, but our changes are here. So our table is in here. Reason why the changes don't sit in here, this is the default app you get when you install Dynamics. So this is legacy. That's why it says web here. These are the unified interfaces. So this here still shows you most of the things you see in Dynamics. So even when you make that Omega table available, you will still see it here too. But if you open this, you'll see there's a yellow ribbon which tells you this is a legacy app, where else this thing here doesn't. So this is much faster as compared to the other one. So now the $1 million question is, how do we get our Omega table on the sitemap? So one of the things we can do at this point, we can click here, and then we can open in App Designer. So once we have our App Designer here, we should have something which tells us about the sitemap. So in here, we're talking about lead. So this is the lead forms here. These lead forms here, they are the ones which are for the default. So if you say lead form in here, I want to show you what you'll see at this point. So at this point here, you're talking about the sales main form. And these are the things on the sales main form. So this is not going to help us whatsoever. So if I go back in here, and then scroll down, I'm more interested in this part here. This is what I need to make a change to. I'm gonna change it to a different view, which I'm familiar to. This one here is still new to myself. I have to apologize. I'm gonna show you the one I'm familiar with. So in here, can you see the items on the left here? So the items on the left you're seeing here, these are the tables. The account table comes with a form. It comes with views. It comes with charts. It comes with dashboards. So in here, we need to open our artifacts. So we're going to open it. Once it opens, we're going to see a few more things in here. So at this point here, we are seeing other tables. You see, it's a long list. What we're just going to do to make it easier for us at this point is to search. There is our table here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select it. And then once I select it, I should have an option to save it or edit. Let's save it here and see where it's going to land. Okay, so I've saved omega on there. Can we see it on here?
Yes. That's the CASA meeting.
Okay, perfect. So at this point here, this is one thing you can also do additionally if the requirement comes into it. So you've been asked in this context by your product owner to say, we only want these specific forms to be available. So at this point here, you're going into forms. And if you can see, by default, you have all the forms available. So you can decide to say, we just want to have this specific form available. In this case here, the setup we have is perfect. We then go a bit more and start looking into views. So if you look into views, you're going to have your out-of-the-box views. You're going to have some of the views. So if you see, there's even a view now, active omega leads, inactive omega leads, omega lead advanced find. So we have these things created at this point. So we are happy this is here. The next thing we need to do now is to validate, to make sure what we are doing here is the right thing, is working. So if you see here, there are some warnings. So it might be just expecting you to add some more things. You can basically open them and it will tell you exactly what the warnings are. So these warnings, generally they do appear. If it's in red, then you need to pay attention to it. If it's yellow like this, if you see it's talking about Go metrics, it's talking about email templates, email signatures, things we are not really using. So you can basically ignore that. And then at this point, we are making our application available. So the sales trial is an application with attributes inside it. So we had someone ask the question, can we reduce what we are seeing? If you are still here, can you please say it again, please?
Yeah, I'm still here. I said if we
perfect.
can reduce the content because of the load, the time we
Great.
have to wait for it to load. Yeah.
Perfect. So you see, for example, this Go metric here as an example, we can basically go into entities at this point, and we basically search for it. So Go metric, so that's not on there. Let's look for account. So this is the account, and we can select remove. Activity, we can select remove. So this point here is one of those things you have to do manually. Discount, we remove it. And then I'm going to show you something here. So if we remove these here, so I've removed quite a few, there's 22 left. We can carry on removing them, but I just want to show you something here when I say save. So in the event you have saved something and there's an issue, you can basically back out. Don't publish it, just back out. You can either just simply close your page and then start off again. That way it's not going to save the changes. So at this point, we're going to publish this here. So we have seen the concept of how we can remove those things from our sitemap. So that's number one. There's one thing I think, Torsten, is yourself, you asked the question if you're doing some testing and you need to see it. So we're going to go into that as well. So now we are at this point here. Let's press play. Once you press play, it opens Dynamics 365. And then if you see on this side here, can you see the item we added does not appear here? Any guesses why it doesn't appear there?
Not yet published.
Okay, good attempt. Anyone else? The answer is here. So you can all see this thing here, right?
Yes.
And you can all see this thing here, right? You can see it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we agreed this is the navigation pane, this is the sitemap, right? So if you go into our sitemap, which is right here,
Okay.
and we're going to edit it. Yeah, am I right in thinking what we are seeing here is what we are seeing at this point here?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So now we need to add something here. So we're going to edit this one here, and we're gonna change that, and we're gonna put our omega lead in there. So we can edit this or we can completely remove it. So why has it disappeared?
Can I ask a question? Because when I was checking online, I noticed that the lead opportunity is under pipeline, and I don't know why. And I'm still seeing it right now that you can find it. We have the pipeline and you can see lead opportunity forecast is under pipeline.
Yeah, so if you remember, that's a very good question. If you remember, we spoke about sales. So we are in a sales area. So a lead is part of a sales pipeline. So it's called a pipeline by default out of the box. If your organization decides to say they don't want to call it pipeline, you can always come and make changes in this area here. But Microsoft call it a pipeline because they're talking about sales pipeline, lead, opportunity, account, invoicing, that journey.
Codes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's okay. In here, I need to add something. And once I add a new area, I need to add a group. And the group here will be called Omega Lead. Then once I have my sub area, I need to add the area. And then we're here, I need to add in here. More tiles, yeah, we're here, and we need an area. This here needs to go. We'll need this one here. Not that one either. It's this one here we need. So Omega Lead, new group, properties of it. So what we're looking to do here is we're looking to do what it looks like here. So we see we have our area, our sub area, and now we need to add this area here underneath it. That's what basically I'm trying to do here. So in here, we select this, and then let's add. We have an area already. We have a group. We need a sub area. And then with our sub area, we're going to select type, and it's an entity. And in here, we're going to select our Omega table. Let's scroll down until we find it. It is on this list, that's for sure. There it is. And then we have Omega leads there. So now we should be in a good place. And then we're going to publish this. And then after publishing it, we're going to play and see if our changes are taking effect. So all these things here we've encountered here, this is a typical work scenario. When you go to an interview, in some cases, if you speak about what we just did here as an example, they know what you're saying is exactly the things they need from the person they need to hire. So once we are here, save this. I don't need to publish it again, really. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that if you want. And then we're going to play it again now. So once we play it, we should see what we have done. Don't need that.
100 million people, and they only added 30,000 in the last 5 years.
Are we all happy with this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically what I've done here, I'm going to tell you one bad thing I've done here, which you shouldn't do.
Okay.
So we are happy with this right now. Yes, great. But I'm going to tell you what we should not be doing. Okay. So at this point here, we can now select new. And we have the name here. So in here, I'm going to put test. And then once I come out of it, can you see our business rule working? Did we see our business rule working?
Yes.
Or
it's not showing the owner anymore.
Not showing the owner.
Yeah, for those of you who did not see it, at this point here, I'll put test. And I'm not even saving the record. I'm just moving away from that field and I'll just click here. So that's our business rule working. The only consideration you need to think about with your business rule, have a look at this now. Did you see that? So your business rule in this context here, we are hiding when we have data. We also need to have the reverse of it. If there's no data, just show it. It just depends on the use case of that organization. Some of these things you need to keep in mind to say, okay, if this is the scenario, if we are showing, what happens if we need to show it? So you can basically have those conditions in your business flow. So going back to what I was saying in here, this here is not the right way of doing it. I just named it new area. It should not be called new area. It should have a distinct name. We can go back and change it, but it's things to look out for. For our colleagues in the Omega team, you can make it even much nicer. If you are familiar with, I think it's KVG, there's a name for these logos you can add in here. You can basically put your logo in here. So in here, new area, Omega leads, you can basically update the image here. You can basically select this and then update the image. That's if you're familiar with that. I think it's JVG, the format of it. And then what it does, it changes the appearance of this thing here. So in our troubleshooting here and our solution, we ended up creating a new sub area. We can simply say we don't want to create a new sub area. We're going to go back into our pipeline here, and we're going to add a sub area, and we can just add Omega here. So we're actually going to do it. So you're gonna see exactly what's gonna happen here. So omega lead. So we have omega leads here. This here, we do not need it. That's out of the box. So we're going to remove it from this map. So now we can say save. And then we then publish our changes. And then once we publish our changes, we just play it. So we can actually see that change we have made now and what we need to do to make it much nicer. So now we've published our changes here. We can just simply go in here and change this area here and go into the sales area and just refresh the page. And we should not see that item here. So we still see leads here, which we shouldn't because we have published them here. So the next thing to do here, we can simply save and close, and then we can play it. So if you see now, we now have omega leads here. So we have omega leads here. It will do exactly what we want it to do. If you select new, this is our omega lead. We also created another area, which is this one here, and it also have omega leads. So we do not need this one here. So we're going to get rid of this one and just keep one. So in that context, what we're going to do is open our sitemap here, the new area here, and we're just going to delete this. And then because we have deleted this point here, we can then basically save and close. So once we save and close, we can play it and let's see what happens. And then if you see in here now, the new area is still there is because this hasn't taken effect, the change here. So you basically just need to validate again here to make sure we're all good. And then once you validate, we shouldn't save and close because we published already. You just need to see our changes. And then let's see the sub area, new area is still showing here. So there is something which is wrong. So again, we know our issue is at this area here. So let's see if we need to save anything. Publish, yep, it was in draft there. Save and close, and then play. Yep, it's still showing here. Eventually it will disappear anyway because we have deleted it. But basically, this is what you do if you're adding something to this sitemap here. If you're not so sure what you're doing here, just have a look and see what's in front of you. So again, if you see, for example, these forms here, they have some warning messages to them. So if you hover over this, this is the canvas where you design the app, but there is error messages which you can pick up right from the top when you validate it. Yeah, so you can basically pick up all your error messages here. So if you decide you want to tackle them one by one, yep, you can basically keep at it and start adding things, fixing things if you wish to. But like I said, if they're in red, that's when you need to pay attention to them. So on that note, is there any other questions anyone might have in terms of this troubleshooting we've done here and the amazing work our developers are doing with the lead form? And please, those of you who are working in different areas, try and use what the lead developer team are doing here as a template, because they are going in the right direction.
I have I don't know if it's a question, but my observation from what you're doing is that I noticed that when you are doing the lead and we can see the form, automatically we can see that your name is appearing as the owner. Does that mean that if I'm at work and I'm the developer, automatically I might have access to the environment? So any name that is working on that particular environment will show, because it looks like your name is the one showing as the owner.
So this is what you mean here, right?
Yes.
So by default, this value which is being used, the owner field, it's an out of the box field. So what it has at the background, it looks at the person who is logged in here.
Yes.
So once it sees the person who's logged in here, it then populates it in here. Your organization or your company might decide to say, no, we don't want that. Let's change it completely. So you can have a different field and not use this one here and use a custom field. That's also allowed. So in this context here, let's do our test in here. I think Tosin had a question as well in regards to this. So I hope that answers the question in terms of the owner field.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
But to the question which Tosin did ask, this is what you need. So this is what I call magic. So this here, for a functional consultant, for a developer, is your daily bread. So let me add it. Where can't I have the option to edit? Something tells me I have this thing already. 1 second.
This level up, Alex, is it like a developer tool for Dynamics?
Yeah, it's a developer tool for Dynamics. It's also for functional consultants. It's also for QA colleagues too.
Oh, I see. Because it is an extension. That's the reason why I asked that.
Yeah, so everyone who works with Dynamics, they do have this extension. So let me get it to work here if I can. Yeah, translate and then download and add extension. And then now, if I go back here, it should be done anyway, just adding it. So I can go back in here now into our Dynamics here, extensions. So you see here, this is our form here. This is our extension, apologies. So if I open this extension here, you have these things here. I can basically go into God mode. So if I click God mode, let me see if it's picked up first. Let me refresh the page. It's just a fresh install. And then at this point here, I can do this level up. And can you see what happens? It exposes the field. Did everyone see that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so in some cases, you might be working to see what is the underlying name for these fields. You have things you can do with this here. you can do something like this, level up, and you can go on logical names, and I can see the background names here. So this is the background name on the database. This is the GUID for this record here. So in that context, if you can see at this point here, I'm logged in as myself, right? I can also log in as anyone else. So with Level Up for Dynamics, I can basically come in here and I can impersonate someone. So I can basically click this and select which account would you like me to log in here with?
4.
4? Yep.
Yeah.
So I can basically do this here, and then I'll just click here, and then it should pick up. So once it picks up, it will also tell me here. So I'm just refreshing the page itself, and then it should shortly pick it up. Let's see if our tool is holding it. Impersonate. Okay, we need to switch it on. Perfect. So if you see something came alive here. So can you see now I'm logged in as user number 4?
Yeah.
So if I go and create a new lead, you'll see it's a different user now. Yeah, so these are some of the tools you can use to make things in your life much easier. Another option you have in here with this specific tool, you can basically come in here and just go and select this item here. You want to look at quick find fields. You can also blur some fields. So if you select blur some fields, it will blur the content in here. So it will just show you this, but it will blur these things out. So this is one of many tools you can use to make things much easier. If you look into it again, so if you see in here, you can also, this is not a record, so it's not going to have anything. So let's go into here. I'll show you something. So in some cases, from a developer point of view, from a tester, from a BA, a developer or someone can say to you, can you give me the GUID of the record? Basically, this is what you do. You open the record. You can say record ID, and then it automatically copies it for you. That's if you're not familiar, but the record GUID is always in the URL here. So if you go here, this is the record ID. This number here. So the number is always unique per record. So it tells you exactly what the table is. So this is the record GUID. So if we go to a different record, it gives us to it. If you're not confident, this tool here just picks it up for you, record ID. You can also do something like clone a record. So basically by cloning a record, you're copying the record into making it a duplicate. I've seen testers like this mechanism of duplicating records when they want to create multiple records. So these are some of the things you can do. I hope I haven't made it too complex.
We'll survive.
You have.
Survive.
It looks complex, but I can relate to what you are teaching with bringing in QA into the developer training that you're doing, because the record to me looks like maybe a test like element. You know, when a tester is testing something and you want to get the element like the locator.
Yep.
So it looks like exactly what the tester is trying to do there. I don't know if I'm right.
Yep, no, that's perfectly right. And one of the key things with these tools here, if for some of you who remember, I did mention about changing this and put a blue sky logo here. So these are some of the tools you can use. You cannot do it from the system natively. you need to use some of these tools here. Yeah, so I think, yeah, for today, we'll leave it here, but there is a bit more I want to show you next session. For our developer who kindly volunteered to share, thank you so much. I'm really grateful. You came forward to do that. On the next session, please, if someone can also put their hand up, and then we can kind of start diving into things and explaining things a bit more. In terms of, for example, how we can basically have our record here and then start opening a Microsoft Teams chat here, talking with someone in Microsoft Teams, not in Dynamics, about this record and all the chat history saved in Dynamics. So those are things we'll speak about to see how that works. And for example, how we make a phone call in Teams and it automatically gets recorded here. So yeah, any questions from anyone? If there's no questions, please digest what we did today. It's very important when you're going forward. Yeah, go ahead, Torsten.
Yeah, thank you. You just said something now that what we're going to learn now is about how to do record or make phone calls via Teams here and to be recorded here in Dynamics. Well, when we are trying to create a lead, we try to get some data out of this environment to external environment, but that was not possible.
So when you say you wanted to get data out of this environment to other systems, what other system were you trying to get to?
Okay, what we did basically then was that we created a lead. After creating the lead, you remember we talked about the lead is either disqualified or qualified.
Yeah.
We try our possible best to make the lead qualified by making a first contact with the lead, probably via mail or call.
Okay.
So we sent a mail to the lead using email address, which is out of this environment.
Yep.
But we didn't get the mail sent to that to the lead.
Yeah. So one of the things which could have happened is the mailbox might not have been approved. So the mailbox needs approval. So if you keep that question, that will be a bigger piece. I can show everyone else what it means when we start talking about mailbox configuration. We start talking about Outlook integration. We start talking about shared mailboxes coming into Dynamics. If you are talking about getting other systems to bring data in, you start talking about integration layer using APIs. So you can basically use in Azure a function app, or you can use a webhook, which basically listens to Dynamics, pass the message into Dynamics or to other systems externally. So those are some of the things you can do on that front. So if you're looking to go down that route, is something we can always discuss to say what would be the options going forward with that. Okay. You can also create leads from Twitter. I don't know if you guys have ever thought of something like that. So if you happen to see someone with a hashtag Twitter, pick their Twitter name and create a record in Dynamics. And then you then go and hand them on Twitter for that.
Cool.
Same thing with Facebook. Same thing with any website. You can say, okay, if people on this website are talking about these things here, trigger something, which will be something using technology called Power Automate, which is part of Power Platform. It creates a record in Dynamics.
Okay, Alex, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, from the three types of Power Apps for development, Canvas app, model-driven app, and portal, which one do you advise us to use?
I advise you to use all of them. I wouldn't say one over the other. The key thing here is the use case. So if you're talking mainly, for example, the portal or Power Pages, you're talking about interaction with external people not in your organization. And then if you're talking about a model-driven app, it's more or less a pre-configured application which needs minimal development for you to get going. Talking about a Canvas app, you're starting from scratch, you're designing it to how you want it. With Dynamics, is more limited in what you can do. So for example, this white space here, you can't really do much with it unless if you start writing C# code, but that C# code then affects your application. So the simple answer here, it depends with the use case. Any other questions from anyone?
Yes, Alex.
Yes,
sure.
Alex.
Why is the login used as the user is always offline? I notice most of the time when you look at it, it's always offline. Why is it offline?
So if you want that user account to be online, for example, this account here, what you need to do is to log in into Microsoft Teams. So this presence feature here is based on Exchange. So Exchange looks at your Microsoft Teams profile. Are you online? Are you on Do Not Disturb? Are you busy? Then it also updates dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
this user account is driven by something called Active Directory. Active Directory then has a relationship with the Exchange, which is the collaboration messaging piece of it, and telephony, making phone calls out.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Any questions from anyone else?
Yes, Alex, please. Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
All right, concerning the superuser 18, did you change the password already?
Yes, I have changed the password already. I'll put it in the chat window, or should I give it to Deji and Deji will share with you?
Okay, that's good.
Do you want me to actually? I think I can share with you here.
Yeah, just share with me. Yeah.
Yep, it's this one here. I've just sent it to you.
Okay.
I have a question, Alex. Can 2 or 3 developers work on the same environment like this, have the same credential to log in and start working on it?
The same credentials is very complex because the moment the system picks up, it either logs out one of them. But if you have different credentials, yes, you can. But with the same login, the risk is always there that one can get logged out.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked, because we were given a developer credential and we were given a non-developer credential. For the developer credential, doesn't mean that the developer is the only one that should be using it. Then the non-developer is the one for the team members to be using.
That's correct, yes. So the developer credential is for developers. If you're not developing, you should not be using those credentials unless the team says you can. So if the admin team says you can, yes, you can. But at the moment, the process is just to make sure devs are working with their dev credentials, the non-dev are working with their own credentials.
Okay, because in my team, all of us, we are using the developer account. So yeah, I don't know if it's ideal. Maybe I should ask Mr. Deji or something like that.
Yeah, I think that would be a question for Mr. Deji.
Yeah.
From our side of things, it will still give you the functionality you need, and you won't really much break anything because it's things we can fix. But it's more, from the admin team from that side of things.
Okay, Alex, please, I want to add something to what Abimbola just said. Now, from the perspective of my team, I'm the only one using the developer login, and from the look of things, because we allow one person when we're having a meeting, we allow one person to be using the non-developer link. Once there is anything we want to check, I'm the only one that can check, that can see the backend. The developer was set up like you'll be the only one that can work on the backend. You can see the backend. Though I will always show them, but when they work on the front, they will see whatever we are working on the front end. But I'm the only one. Like the mail, I received the mail.
Yep.
Yeah, I received the mail, and I see it on my developer section. So I think that is how the section is being. The link is being divided for developer, for you to be able to see and receive mails like for the backend stuff.
Yeah, so the developer should see the backend stuff. The non-developer can also see the backend stuff, but they can't do much in the backend. They are limited in what they can do in the backend in terms of configuration. So a developer has full access. The non-developer has more read access, but they cannot do configuration when they get there.